For economic research, Brandon Arnold's here as well, Executive Vice President at the National Taxpayers Union. Welcome to you both. All right, Thomas, start us off here. Again, seems to be quite the improvement from the previous administration when it comes to optimism about the economy. Your thoughts on what the press secretary had to say?
Well, there is a lot of good news there. It's good to see the unemployment numbers down. And when you look at the other side of that, labor force participation, especially among Americans aged 25 to 54, those numbers are still up as well. And now, mind you, we'd be remiss if we didn't include the efforts of those at the state level. Now, at 10 a.m. today, there'll be a data release on the state-by-state unemployment situation. And I bet that, as we'll see, the states that are the most economically free, the most fiscally responsible, are going to be the states leading the pack, while the more irresponsible states will see above-average unemployment.
Yeah, Brandon, talking about that, Levitt's comments come as jobless claims declined for a fifth straight week. This is overall. First-time jobless claims decreased by 7,000 to 221,000 claims last week, hitting its lowest level since mid-April. So showing a resilient job market. That's good there. Also, this retail sales rebounding in June in a broad advance, potentially alleviating some concerns about less consumer spending. That is not the case, given this factual economic data. The value of retail purchases increasing 0.6%, exceeding nearly all estimates. And that has been the case throughout this week, Brandon.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cause for optimism here. Certainly, passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill has inspired a lot of investors to be a little bit more bullish on the market, and I think that that's justified. There's a lot of really good incentives in there to encourage economic growth, to encourage more investment in the United States in terms of manufacturing, agriculture, research and development. So there's a lot of good stuff in that bill, and we are seeing some fundamentals in this economy are quite strong in a lot of different dimensions. So a lot of good reason for optimism. We can play the pessimist role here as well. There's always some things to be hesitant about, some uncertainty, particularly related to trade policy. But overall, I think the picture is a positive one, and the nation's on a positive trajectory right now.
Well, it's not all sunshine and rainbows for President Trump, because he has not gotten rid of Jerome Powell yet, and he's focusing in on that. Let's show you this Truth Social post. He says, quote, "Too late, and the Fed are choking out the housing market with their high rate, making it difficult for people, especially young, to buy a house. He's truly one of my worst appointments. Sleepy Joe saw how bad he was and reappointed him anyway. And the Fed board has done nothing to stop this numbskull from hurting so many people. In many ways, the board is equally to blame. The USA is rocking. There's very low inflation, and we deserve to be at 1%, saving $1 trillion a year on interest costs. I can't tell you how dumb too late is. So bad for our country." Thomas, what do you think about this one?
Well, I think this highlights a toxic relationship that's existed between the White House and the Federal Reserve for pretty much as long as the Federal Reserve has existed, right? You know, you have the executive branch always wanting to lean on the Fed to be more accommodative of monetary policy. You saw that with President Lyndon Johnson. You saw that with President Nixon as well. At the same time, you have the Fed officials who want to engage in mission creep. They want to do more than their mandate. They want to get involved, and they want to make a name for themselves. And even when they're saying they're not political, of course, they're people just like you and I. They're political animals, especially, you know, they're working in Washington. They're just as political as anybody at any other agency. So what this relationship needs is a clear rule. Have a clear constitutional rule that says, just control the money supply, Federal Reserve, just control the money supply, focus on that. And that way you don't get the leaning and you don't get the mission creep. It keeps things healthy.
Yeah, opening bell ringing now here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Investors getting going here. We'll watch the markets and really, again, a winning week, if you will. Brandon, I want to stay on that topic about Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Any economists, or most economists you speak to, will say all the numbers that you're seeing now indicate that the Fed could lower rates. Everything's matching up. The inflation rates, the wholesale CPI, PPI, this is all matching up to where this could essentially give enough data that is needed to bring down the rates. He hasn't done so. Some say, and again, this is an apolitical position, or it's supposed to be an apolitical position. But with the president weighing in so often here, with this pressure on the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, and he's, again, still in his role, do you think that plays any part in his decision-making, Brandon?
Well, I mean, I think Thomas is right. It's hard to be completely apolitical. Nobody is, even if they claim to be. So certainly that is a factor that we need to consider here. You look at the overall economic picture, though. Yes, we're moving in the direction where a rate cut seems more and more likely, but we also have to contemplate the trade situation, the uncertainty there. So I think it is fair to bring some degree of caution and hesitancy into this position. When you look at what happened in the initial parts of this year with importers bringing in tons of goods and products to get ahead of tariffs, there's an argument to be made that that has helped to keep prices relatively low, and heading into the latter part of the year, prices could go up. I don't know that that'll necessarily be the case. Hopefully, we'll strike some good trade deals to lower tariffs across the board and keep prices as low as we possibly can. But there's an argument to be made that prices could go up, in which case it is less likely that we would get that rate cut.
Sure. Yeah, and still waiting, by the way, for more trade deals to allegedly come to fruition, right? The president had promised so many. We haven't quite reached that new August deadline, so we'll wait and see what happens. Thomas Savage and Brandon Arnold, thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.